Good evening and welcome. You're with News First, your number one news provider. I'm Shamir Rasooli.
And I'm Ashani De Silva. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Mahinda Chintana Lova Dinana Maga Manifesto launched. President says he is prepared for constitutional reforms. Opposition files complaint with the IGP stating that Thissathanaika had produced a forged document claiming it to be a pact between Ranil Wickremesinghe and Maithripala Sirisena. Ranil Wickremesinghe pledges 100 new factories for Hambantota. Over 500,000 affected by the inclement weather. Heavy rains continue to batter many areas.
The Disaster Management Centre says that over 567,000 have been affected by the heavy rains that are lashing the island. Assistant Director of the DMC, Pradeep Kodipilli, stated that 2 people have been reported missing and 2 more deaths have also been reported with the prevailing rainy weather. The Assistant Director added that 60,576 people are being sheltered at 246 relief centres.
The road leading to the Anuradhapura town and the sacred city of Anuradhapura is still underwater. Roads including Jayanti Mawata were inundated in this manner as a result of the Malwatha oil overflowing.
I am in the Anuradhapura town. Due to the heavy showers experienced in the area over the past few days, the Walisinghe Harishchandra grounds, the Anuradhapura Central College and the military hospital were submerged in water.
Our correspondent in the area stated that a number of houses are inundated around the Malwatha oil. 367 people from 115 families who have been displaced are being sheltered at the Mahinda Model Primary School in Anuradhapura. The overflowing of the Yan Oya resulted in the main road that bridges Kahatagas Digaliya and Dematavawa being inundated in the Konvawa area. As the Zonal Education Office of Anuradhapura was flooded, postal voting ballot papers were distributed by boats.
Those who are displaced have been provided shelter at 84 welfare centres. They have been provided all the required facilities such as food, dry rations, sanitary facilities as well as health and security.
Several houses surrounding the Sarananda temple have also been inundated and the locals lament that the relief operations are not taking place in a proper manner.
We have been facing this problem for several years now. We are asking for a reasonable solution.
The Anuradhapura prison premises remain inundated. The overflowing of the Yan Oya also disrupted transportation along the Galimbindinuvawa and Nikavawa road. Floodwaters also submerged paddy fields and houses in the area. The Sri Lanka Army assisted in moving in-house patients at the Madirigiriya Base Hospital to the Hinguragoda Base Hospital and the Polonnaruwa General Hospital. The affected people have been temporarily housed at the Gal Amuna Mahavidyalaya and the Kahambiliyawa Rajama Viharaya. Meanwhile, the spill gates of the Kaudula Reservoir, the Parakrama Samudra and the Minnaria tank continue to remain open, resulting in the flooding of the Madirigiriya area. The Sri Lanka Navy initiated a boat service across the flooded Madirigiriya town. The leak that was reported from the Minnaria Reservoir has been controlled with the use of sandbags. Meanwhile, locals and the Sri Lanka Army engaged in a joint effort to repair the dam of the Suryavawa tank in Kantale. Operations at the water purifying plant in Galgamo, which comes under the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, were suspended after the Mi Oya began to overflow. This also temporarily suspended the supply of drinking water to the area.
Launching his manifesto today, President Mahinda Rajapaksa said that he is prepared for constitutional reforms. The manifesto has been titled Mahinda Chintana Lova Dinana Maga.
The manifesto of UPFA presidential candidate President Mahinda Rajapaksa, titled Mahinda Chintana Lova Dinana Maga, was launched this morning at the BMICH in Colombo. The President first presented copies of the manifesto to the Mahasangha and multi-faith leaders.
சர்வ மத தலைவர்களிடம் கையளிக்கப்பட்டது. மக்களுடைய அபிமானத்தை பெற்ற தலைவராக ஜனாதிபதி மஹிந்த ராஜபக்ஷ அவர்கள் இட்ட இலக்கை நோக்கி பயணிக்கின்ற ஒரு பெரும் தலைவனாக இந்த தேசத்தின் எதிர்கால இலக்குகளை நோக்கி
The President stated that the vision of this manifesto is to ensure that all people reap the benefits of development.
මැතිවරණ පොරොන්දු කියන්නේ
Election promises are simply documents that are forgotten in a few months. For the first time in political history, it has been proven that Mahinda Chintana is not a document that is forgotten. We say what we do and we do what we say. We do not need to repeat our promises on water, electricity, roads and infrastructure for the villagers. These are all the things that we have accomplished in this country.
The Mahinda Chintana Lower Dinanamaga Manifesto reiterates that the policy of the unitary state will be continued and that room will not be allowed for secession or attempts to destabilize the country. The manifesto also pledged to initiate a transparent mechanism to ensure justice and fairness within the prevailing legal framework in the country if the human rights of any citizen of the country were violated during the humanitarian operation. The President also guarantees in his manifesto that he will continue with the non-aligned foreign policy. The manifesto reads that the entire parliament, comprising of all public representatives from all parties, will be turned into a constitutional assembly in order to enact a constitution which represents the aspirations of the people. The manifesto also pledges to amend the executive presidency as per the decision of the Constitutional Assembly to remove weaknesses in the parliamentary system and maintain positive qualities. The manifesto also reads that the President is committed to continue to protect the freedom and independence of the media.
I wish to say with pride that I have hands that have not given a single casino license or bar license. But today, lies have suppressed the truth.
The Mahinda Chintana Lower Dinanamaga Manifesto also pledges to establish a special security platoon with the assistance of the army to tackle drug smuggling and major crimes. The manifesto also pledges to establish a special criminal court to speedily hear these cases and mete out punishment. The President also pledges to introduce a new housing scheme that will guarantee the right of all public sector employees to have a home of their own. He also pledges to introduce a strong health insurance scheme for the private sector. The Mahinda Chintana Lower Dinanamaga Manifesto also pledges to maintain economic growth at above 7% by 2020 and to increase per capita GDP to $7,500. The manifesto, which also speaks of a river for Jaffna and a reservoir for Elephant Pass, further elaborates on the plan to supply water for the entire nation. The manifesto also pledges to enact the education bill adopted by the All-Party Representative Parliamentary Select Committee and to enact the new Teacher Service Constitution in 2015. The manifesto also reads that the drug policy, which a previous health minister was unable to even save a copy of on his computer, will be reviewed in line with the Senaka Bibile policy and will be implemented. The manifesto also pledges to introduce a national sports policy aimed at making Sri Lanka a prominent country in Asian sports. Mahinda Rajapaksa also pledges to create 500,000 jobs for the youth in the coming 5 years. The President also hopes to launch Sri Lanka's first communication satellite by 2020.
I will never allow the fear of death to rise in the minds of the mothers of this country once again. The joint development program that we have implemented cannot be halted midway. That is my responsibility. Remember that my hand has never signed any agreement that is treasonous to the country. I only have one agreement, and that is the Mahinda Chintana.
Mata තියෙන එක ගියුසුමයි ඒ මහින්ද චින්තනය පමණයි.
The President also responded to allegations of nepotism.
Nepotism. I came into politics as part of a family. We accept that I am from a political family. I do not need to deny that. But we have not made money from it. All of us had accomplished a significant task for the country. I ask your permission to remind you and address a question that should be asked from your hearts. Imagine what would have happened if you did not entrust the country to me in 2005 and 2010. Imagine what the situation in the country would be like.
The National Organizations Collective expressed these views at a media briefing held today regarding a document allegedly signed by the opposition's common candidate.
Clergy and lay people who are members of the National Organizations Collective participated at this media briefing held at the National Forces Operations Headquarters in Colombo.
මේ ඊයේ පෙරේදා එළියට ආපු මේ ගිවිසුම රනිල් සහ මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්මයාගේ ගිවිසුම.
This agreement signed between Maithripala and Ranil Wickremesinghe came to light recently. We know that if persons are working against the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the country, if they are striking agreements for it, then they must be arrested. Legal action must be taken. I accuse the President for failing to take such action, because this is clearly something that must be done. This agreement must be published in the newspapers. The people must see this.
මේ ගිවිසුම පුවත්පත්වල පළවෙන්න ඕනේ මේ ගිවිසුම. මොකද මේක අපේ ජනතාව දකින්න ඕනේ.
It was reiterated at a press briefing that was held today that the document produced to the media by Health Minister Tisathanayake yesterday, claiming it was the agreement signed between presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena and the opposition leader, was a fake document. Opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe says a written request was made to the Inspector General of Police to conduct an investigation into this fake document.
The media briefing was attended by the New Democratic Front presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena and opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The document that was produced is completely fake. This was a cunning act. The signatures of Ranil Wickremesinghe and myself on the letter are endorsed on the 1st of November. We left the government on the 21st. There is a small clue in this as to where they extracted the signature from. The signature with the address at the bottom of the paper is from the SLFP party headquarters letter. My signature could be seen in a number of documents in the SLFP party headquarters. This was scanned. The technology has been used in the wrong way, and this is a base act. I should state that the wise government sector employees cannot be deceived by such acts. We will go before the law regarding this. We will go to courts.
I would like to state that the document which was produced was fake. The signature in the document is not mine. And that is also not the signature of Maithripala Sirisena. Secondly, we have included the main points we wanted directly in the elections manifesto. We have stated that the Prime Ministerial position and the 19th Amendment will be produced in the month of January. We did not know to sign an MOU of that sort even when Tisathanayake was in this side. Discussions relating to this was done between myself and Maithripala Sirisena. So therefore, this is a fake document. Since my signature has been forged, I have sent a letter to the IGP to conduct an investigation into this. This is a crime.
මේ ගැන විභාග කරලා බලන්න ඒක අපරාධයක්. මේ පොදු ලියවිල්ල අපි ලිව්වා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාත් එක්ක.
We wrote a common agreement and produced it to the media. You have published it without mistaking a letter. Tisathanayake said that he couldn't even see this. It was Tisathanayake who said he did not know any of this, wasn't it? If he didn't see that, how did he see this? The person who said he hasn't seen the agreement is saying that this is the agreement 2 weeks after leaving. Why was this kept for 2 weeks?
I do not know what to say to this. I do not know whether or not elections can be held in such a manner. I believe that society will realize that this is in fact a base, uncivilized and a disgraceful act.
Leader of the Council of the Eastern Province, Priyantha Patirana, announced that he will render his support to Maithripala Sirisena at the upcoming presidential elections.
The breakaway group of the LTTE, led by Karuna, was provided all the facilities including lodging. We sacrificed everything to defeat terrorism, citing that it was our national responsibility. I must recall that in 2005, when the Defence Secretary returned from America, I together with him went to India and we were introduced to Karuna. Support for the election was gained, and based on the promise made to do anything against terrorism, we supported the 2005 election. We gained the two-thirds majority. This was to solve all the social and economic issues of the people. However, sadly, this is now a regime that has fallen to a few people.
SSP Ajit Rohana is a police media spokesperson, and he confirmed to Newsfirst that the written request by the opposition leader to the IGP has been received. SSP Rohana stated that the facts are being investigated in connection to the incident.
Now, the marking of postal votes for the presidential election commenced today. Public sector employees who are eligible for postal voting will also be able to exercise their franchise tomorrow.
Postal voting centres have been established at numerous public offices, including district and divisional secretariats. Over 500,000 public sector employees are eligible to cast postal votes for the upcoming presidential election. Election monitoring organisation PAFROL notes that they have deployed 1,000 representatives to monitor postal voting. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana added that a special security plan is in place at postal voting centres. Furthermore, SSP Rohana noted that mobile patrols are also making rounds as on a normal election day. Meanwhile, a number of campaign leaflets supporting the UPFA presidential candidate were discovered inside 2 vehicles at the Dakshinapaya office in Labuduwa, Galle. Postal voting did not commence as scheduled today at the Mathura Divisional Education Office. This was caused by the returning officer in charge being assigned to 2 centres simultaneously.
Those who could not cast their postal vote after it concludes tomorrow could do so on the 30th of December at their respective district elections office located at the respective certification officer's office. On the 26th of December, police officers can cast their postal vote. After the 30th, casting of postal votes will be restricted. We have received reports that the casting of postal votes was carried out peacefully island-wide during the day today.
Welcome back. You're with News First, the country's news leader. Opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe says that development projects initiated by the present government will be made stronger in the future.
A meeting to inform the business community of the future plans of the common opposition was held in Colombo today under the auspices of New Democratic Front presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena.
තමන්ගේ කැමැත්තට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු කරන පිරිස් වලට පමණක් සහන දෙමින් අනික් ව්‍යාපාරිකයින් තලාපෙලා විශේෂයෙන්ම නිදහසේ ව්‍යාපාරී කටයුතු කරන්න ඉන්න නොදී බොහෝ ප්‍රදේශවල අපි දන්නවා.
The current government does not provide the opportunity for businesses to function freely. Concessions are only provided to the people who work according to their whims and do what they want to further their rule. Other businessmen are oppressed and are not allowed to function freely. We see how there is extortion in many areas. It is a fact that we both know that certain sections of the government are involved in the cheap act of forcibly taking money from businesses. I state this with responsibility today, that we will ensure the freedom for all business people to carry out their business activities free from political intervention.
කිසිදු දේශපාලන බලපෑමක් තොරව නිදහසේ ව්‍යාපාරී කටයුතු කිරීමේ අයිතිය අපි තහවුරු කරනවායි කියන එක.
Today we are spending 1.6% of the GDP on education. Others are spending 3.5 to 5. It should be 6. It's so with health. That's our basic investment. Our most valuable resource are our people. As Mr. Maithripala Sirisena said, Honorable Maithripala Sirisena said, we have to look at that 99.9%. They are our consumer base. Without them, none of us can survive. Unless you are Rajapaksa. Secondly, what is our long term? We have to have growth, and we have committed ourselves to 1 million good paying jobs in 5 years' time. So what we need is the next generation of economic reforms which we have not been doing for the last 5 years. You are adding up numbers, the numbers don't add up, and the IMF said last September or something the exchange rate is all right. I don't agree with them. I don't think the majority agrees with them either. They come here and write books and go off. That's why I said I won't waste my time with the jokers here. I'll deal directly with Washington. And that you will see when the government comes in where we will deal and with whom we will deal.
Ranil Wickremesinghe also made a clarification on a recent comment he made about the Port City project.
And all of you are asking me, what is this? You want to stop the Port City? Look, economic growth today is being driven by mega cities. And our idea in 2002, 2003 was to create a mega city in the whole of Western Province. Chennai won't be the largest city. We wanted to make Western Province the largest megapolis in the Indian Ocean. It's not merely infrastructure, it's the economic plan. How do cities drive growth? How do the big megapolises come? If you don't have that, you won't have growth. Just as much as we went for Mahaveli last time, this was the big one. But we have 2 criteria, which is also in our manifesto. You must pass the environmental, you must have the environment impact report, assessment, and the feasibility study. If no project has that, we will stop that and we will review the whole thing and then decide what has to be done. In the case of the Port City, when I asked for the environment impact assessment and the feasibility, the government has so far not given it. They promised, they said there will be a lorry load of it. I am still waiting for the lorry to come.
Speaking further, the opposition leader had this to say.
By the way, one thing which I promise I will do, we will do, is we will give at least 100 factories to Hambantota which are nothing. We'll fill the Hambantota harbour with ships and the Mattala airport with planes. I must help my friend President Mahinda Rajapaksa after he retires to fulfill his dream.
The United People's Freedom Alliance convened a press conference today.
තුන්වෙනි කාල පරිච්ඡේදය සඳහා අපි අද එළි දැක්වුවා මහින්ද චින්තන ලොව දිනන මග.
For the third term, we have put forward the Mahinda Chintana Lovadinana Maga. We have introduced the Lovadinana Maga for the third tenure. Its main point, my vision, all victory for the motherland. That is our vision. Then comes our service. The Mahinda Chintana Lovadinana Maga has been presented under 20 topics, including paving the way to win the world through unity. These 20 topics cover all the areas. Mahinda Chintana Lovadinana Maga also depicts our preparation to move into new constitutional reforms. This is our mission and our service. The manifesto put forward by the common candidate for a compassionate rule in 100 days has nothing of the sort.
වෙනසකට එක්වෙමු කියන මෛත්‍රී පාලනයක් 100 දිනකින් අලුත් රටක් කියන එතුමන්ලාගේ වැඩසටහනේ මේ වගේ දැක්මක් සහ මෙහෙවරක් සඳහන් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
දැන් බලන්න මේ ප්‍රකාශනය Mahinda Chintana Lovadinana Maga.
Take a look at the Mahinda Chintana Lovadinana Maga. Where does it start from? National security is number one. The manifesto of Sirisena does not speak anything of national security.
Sena Mahatmyage මේ ප්‍රකාශනයේ කොහෙවත් ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව ගැන නැහැ. මේක තමයි පටන් ගන්නෙම ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව කෙරෙහි නිසි බර තියලා.
Chairman of the National Movement for a Just Society, Venerable Madhulwabe Sobhitathera, speaking to reporters today, explained the imbalance in the presidential poll.
මේක ඡන්ද මංකොල්ලයක් මේ යන්නේ. බලන්නකෝ ජනාධිපතිවරයා තනතුරේ ඉඳගෙන තංග කරනවා.
Votes are being stolen. The president is contesting while serving in his position. 4 to 5 helicopters follow him. Is it his money or is it ours? The vehicles are loaded onto a transporter and taken to the location. This is all our money. There are only 7 persons in Maithripala Sirisena's security detail. The president's has 7,000. It is our money that is being used to feed them. There is no justice. Neither a ground nor a hall can be obtained. The police service is destroyed. This is clear when MPs go into the police station to take away persons in remand custody. There has never been a time in history where the police service has been put down to such a level. The police has been infected with this cancer. It has also affected the elections commissioner. That poor man has been left helpless. Then we come to the law. Posters have been put up everywhere. Have any of them been removed? No, they are not. He is unable to do anything.
පොලිසිය වෙලාගෙන මේ පිළිකා මැතිවරණ කෝසාන්සෝන වෙලාගෙන පව් ඒ මනුස්සය උඩ බලාගෙන ඉන්න යන්නේනවත් නැතු. ඔය දෙකක් අන්නේ කිය හැමතැන පෝස්ටර් ගහක් ගලව තියෙනවා. නෑ ඒක උගලන්නේ නෑ. ඒ මනුස්සයර කර කියා ගන්නවක් නෑ. ආතතිය හැදෙලා නැවතුනොත් ඇති ඡන්දෙන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා.
මත්තල ගුවන් තොටුපළේ ආදායම ඇහුවම ආචාර්ය හර්ෂද සිල්වා මෙතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ.
When MP Harsha De Silva inquired into the income of the Mattala airport, the Minister of Aviation Services responded saying that the income for May was 16,168 rupees. That means the annual income is only 192,000 rupees. The money that was spent on the Mattala airport, casting aside the money for the oil tankers and other materials, is 27,000 million rupees. And some of these ministers actually respond to the questions. My friends, do the math. To pay this debt, it will take us exactly 140,000 years. It took only 143,000 years for humans to evolve from Homo erectus to Homo sapiens. We cannot even comprehend how long it will take to end this miraculous development of Mr. Mahinda.
Homo erectus මානවකයා Homo sapien වෙන්න ගියෙත් 1,43,000. මහින්ද මහත්තයාගේ මේ ආශ්චර්යමත් සංවර්ධනය කෙලවර කරන්න පරම්පරාවලට නෙවෙයි කල්පාන්තරයකටවත් බෑ.
Former Member of Parliament AHM Azwa expressed the following views at a press conference held today.
I sacrificed my seat for MP Amir Ali. He took it and now he has jumped. Today I'm ashamed to face my own people. Why did one of our own people do this? In the history of Muslims in the country, no one has betrayed the people in this manner. Rishad was like a king. Now in my mind, he is like a tramp.
A Sangha Summit was held at Hyde Park, Colombo today with the participation of members of the Mahasangha.
The Sangha Summit had been organised by the Jatika Mamaka Balavega organisation in support of presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena. The summit was attended by Maithripala Sirisena and several politicians.
සිය වේදිකාවේ හිටපු හාමුදුරුවෝ අමතලා කිව්වේ හාමුදුරුවනේ මම මෙහි අයිතිකරුවා නොවේයි.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa told the monks on his stage that he is not the owner and that he is only a trustee. There would have been no problem if he had continued as only a trustee of the country. All the powers he had were more than enough to develop the country's resources, bring progress and establish a prosperous society. But he has cast aside the powers of the institutions meant for this and then worked towards ensuring his hold on power until 2023. That is why he has called for a mandate. This is not trusteeship.
තව 2023 වෙනකන් සිය බලය පවත්වාගෙන යාමට අවශ්‍ය කරන ජනාධිපති ධූරයක් වරණයක් තමයි මේ කැඳෙව්වේ. ඒ බාරකාරත්වය පෙන්වන්න නෙමෙයි.
ඇත්ත කටුනායක පාර හොඳයි හදපු එක. ඒක රටට අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තිබුණා. මාතර පාර හොඳයි. අපි කවුරුවත් පාර වැරදි කියන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් මතක තියාගන්න.
All the roads that were built are good. We are not saying that building roads is wrong. But remember that in India, where there are thousands of square kilometers, it costs 300 million. How much did it cost us? 3,000 million. The estimate was 1,000 million and over 3,000 million has been spent. Why has it cost more than the estimate? Whose pockets did the money go into? My dear monks, every month when we make 1,000 million of these roads, we have to pay 1,000 million in interest to the countries that we have taken loans from.
අපේ හාමුදුරුවනේ අද මේ පාරවල් වලින් අපි මිලියන 1000ක් හොයනකොට හැම මාසෙම අපි මිලියන 1000ක් මේ ණයගත්ත චීනය ඇතුළු රටවල් වලට ගෙවන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The JVP lodged a complaint with the Elections Commissioner today over the United People's Freedom Alliance using state property for election propaganda. The General Secretary of the JVP submitted a written complaint and photographic evidence to substantiate the complaint to the Elections Commissioner.
Employees attached to the Road Development Authority, the Urban Development Authority, the SLTB, the Divinaguma Department and state banks are being forcibly used for such activities. We have a number of documents on this matter. We also have photographs of such persons engaged in these activities. We have submitted a complaint to the Elections Commissioner. What's taking place is that the politician who breaks the law lives freely. There are no investigations launched into him. However, the OIC who attempted to uphold the law has been compelled to remove his uniform and stay at home.
The People's Movement for Democracy organized a demonstration against the use of state property for elections propaganda. The demonstration took place opposite the Fort railway station. Members of the JVP, civil activists and others were present for this demonstration.
State resources and state media belong to the people of this country. State officers need to work for them. However, Mahinda Rajapaksa is the presidential candidate. State resources, state media as well as state officials are being used forcibly for propaganda activities. We request masses to be against this.
This country needs a governance where justice will be given to the missing and where people will no longer go missing.
The political stage is heating up with the presidential poll just weeks away. Let's now have a listen to some of the views expressed in the political fora.
The stage for our rally in Unruh was set alight and destroyed. 3 persons connected to it were arrested by the police. Then a deputy minister goes and takes those persons out. This is the law in the country.
They are saying things because they have nothing else to say. They have no political policy. They cannot come close to the Mahinda Chintanaya. The Mahinda Chintanaya has provided political policies that have brought development to the farmers, labourers and fishermen of this country. This development program cannot be turned back.
Yesterday, the owner of a social club called me. He told me that a minister has 110 bar licenses under him. Now just imagine what the ministerial portfolio is. We know who the minister is. From where does the liquor come from to these bars? They come from the northwest.
We only act after understanding the truth and not just panic. Therefore, we need to ensure that Mahinda Rajapaksa wins this presidential election. There needs to be a battle for us to gain this right. Or we can say that we will not vote the next time.
යුද්ධ දින්නට කලකුණ සලකුව අවුරුද්ද 5කට කලින්
5 years ago, we paid gratitude for the war victory. After taking the votes casting gratitude, fraud, corruption, waste has been spread all over. And Sri Lanka has been turned into a country where there is an autocratic, unjust society.
රජයන ඒකාධිපති වියරුවන් වැටිච්ච සමාජයක් ශ්‍රී ලංකාව නිර්මාණය කරලා තියෙනවා. සිරිසේන ඩොක්ටර් ගත්තා. අරගෙන ආව මම කියපු විදියට
They took Sirisena, so here is his 3.5 million votes. Then there are 2 million SLFP votes that follow. Here's Fonseca's remaining votes. Now they have calculated that they will get 7 million votes.
අද කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ ජයග්‍රහණය වෙනුවේ. අපි දන්නවා හැම දිනම කියන්නේ මේ
There is no issue in victory. We know that. Everyone says that there need not be any doubt on the victory. This cannot be won by wrong means. Today, everyone is working together, devoid of party, race or religion, to ensure the victory of Maithripala Sirisena.
මහත්මයා වෙනුවෙන් ජයග්‍රහණය වෙනුවෙන් හැම දිනම වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා. රෙද්ද බැලිය මාදින
Mahinda Rajapaksa is a man who wears the sarong, vest, the shawl and grows a moustache. Mahinda Rajapaksa and his vision is something for this country. It is a model for this country. The program of the kings is the program of Mahinda Rajapaksa.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ වැඩපිළිවෙල.
මම ලැජ්ජයි කියන්න. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ආවට පස්සේ තමයි මට තේරුනේ අත උස්සන්න කිව්වා උස්සන්න ඕනේ.
I am ashamed to say that after I came into parliament, I understood that you need to raise your hand and lower your hand when told to. When MPs like us speak, they talk on how much we are worth. 100, 200 or 500. Your votes matter. Anyone can go to the polls and change this.
500ද කියලා තමයි කතා කරන්නේ. ඔබේ ඡන්දේ බලවත් සෑම කෙනෙකුටම පුළුවන් ඡන්දවලට ගිහිල්ලා මේක වෙනස් කරන්න.
දැන් මෛත්‍රීපාලත් එකයි මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂත් එකයි. මෛත්‍රීපාල ශ්‍රීසේන නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ
Maithripala and Mahinda Rajapaksa are the same. Maithripala Sirisena is from the SLFP and so is Mahinda Rajapaksa. Both are the same. There is no difference. If there is a difference, it's only from the Janaseta Perumuna.
එකමකනයි දැන් හරියට තරම් කරනවා නම් මේ ජනසත පෙරමුණේ පක්ෂේ පමණයි කියන එක මම කියන්න කැමතියි.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has appointed a committee to organize an open debate between the two main contenders for the 2015 presidential election. Speaking to reporters today, President of the Bar, Attorney at Law Upul Jayasuriya elaborated.
This debate will be based on the rule of law, the independency of the judiciary, corruption and bribery. For this purpose, the Bar has appointed a special intellectual committee. This committee is headed by the Vice President of the Bar, President's Council Prasanna Jayawardena. We have sent the invitations to His Excellency the President and the presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena. We have selected the days from the 2nd to the 5th of January for this.
It was also said at this briefing that if state employees fail to uphold the election laws, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka will initiate legal action.
State employees will be using their vote today and tomorrow. This is the postal vote. It is the responsibility of the heads of institutions to ensure the confidentiality of the postal vote. If this is violated by any means, they will be prosecuted before the law. We will file cases against them.
The last tickets for day one of the Boxing Day test between Sri Lanka and New Zealand were purchased today, guaranteeing a capacity crowd of about 8,000 for the country's newest international venue. Tickets for days 2 to 5 are still available. The Boxing Day test will be the first test that will be hosted at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch and will be the 8th ground in New Zealand to host a test match. The new points table of the Inter-Club Champions League football tournament shows that the Negombo youth have managed to top the table. The Anuradhapura Solids and Colombo FC are placed 2nd and 3rd respectively in the points table.
And with that, we wrap up this edition of Primetime News for the Newsfirst team. I'm Ashani De Silva.
And I'm Shami Rasuluddin. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, take care and good night.